Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Ask Ron. This is Ask Ron number 21. I know I just did one of these a couple days ago, but got a lot of questions, so I don't want the questions to pile up because I don't want these to get too long, because human beings don't have attention spans anymore. First batch of questions comes from the UK. These are all from Glenn Hill 68. Glenn Hill's first question: I train with slow negatives, 3 to 4 seconds to increase time under tension. Have you tried this style of training, and what do you think of it? I've actually been doing it that way for, let's see, 87, about 30 years now, a little over 30 years, because when I first started getting very interested in bodybuilding, it happened all at once while I had just started my freshman year at University of California, Santa Barbara, and I went to the bookstore off campus there and got a couple books, and they were both by Arthur Jones, who invented Nautilus and the Nautilus training system. He advocated a rep cadence of 2-second positive for the lift, 4-second negative to emphasize the negative. 2 seconds up, he had you go that slowly to eliminate momentum and make sure you were using good form. I personally do believe now, most of the time, in a faster rep speed than that. Not exactly ballistic, but fast lift, slow controlled negative. I do believe that's the best way to stimulate growth. I would never want anyone to just drop the negative. You're wasting a whole half of the rep there. So many studies have showed the importance of the negative stroke of the rep. You're lengthening the muscle there, and you're causing a lot of damage to the muscle fiber, which is going to be rebuilt bigger and stronger. So you definitely don't want to waste that. It's also very dangerous to just drop a weight. So, if you were curling 150 pounds or something up and then just dropped it because of physics, and it was a long time ago that I took physics, but I do know, 150 pounds decelerating, it's going to be a lot heavier than that. So the force on your biceps and the tendons at the bottom would be, I don't know, I'm going to take a wild guess, like 400, 500, 600 pounds, enough to take the bicep clean off, to tear it. So you definitely don't ever want to just drop the negative, not just because you're wasting a valuable part of the rep, but because it's dangerous. You're in great danger. Something like squats, you could easily blow out your lower back or your knees, just dropping with a few hundred pounds on your back. So yeah, I've always done it that way. I've always emphasized the negative. There are times if I'm doing a superset, or there are times when I will do faster pumping motion, but for the most part I do like to use a slower negative speed than the lifting. I do believe that's very valuable. It's a safer way to train, and I think it's a more effective way to train. 3 to 4 seconds, so let's see how slow that would be. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000. 4 seconds is a bit much. I think 2 or 3 seconds is plenty. I mean, for just about anybody. Next question. So Glenn Hill says, due to circumstances and time, I do a full body workout 3 times a week. Have you tried this? Which exercises would you use? I've tried just about everything. I mean, I've been doing this for so damn long. Yeah, I have tried that. And again, it was during those early Nautilus years, because that's what was advocated by Arthur Jones and the whole Nautilus principles. They would have you do full body workouts 3 times a week rather than break it up into body parts, or push day, pull day, legs, anything like that. I think it's a very effective way to train, especially if you're crunched for time and you can only get in the gym 3 times a week. It's definitely a great way to do it. So your overall volume can't be that great because you're hitting every single body part. The best way to go about it, in my opinion, would be to do pretty much all compound exercises. So you'd be hitting every body part really, with plenty of resistance, plenty of effective free weight movements. So if I had to make up that workout, if that's how I had to train, not necessarily this is the order, but these are the exercises that I would choose. I would do squats, bench presses, deadlifts, dips, probably weighted, chins, weighted if possible, barbell rows, military presses. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 7 exercises. If you did warm-ups and 3 working sets of each, you could get through that in an hour to an hour and a half. And if you did that 3 times a week, that would be plenty to, stimulate growth, or at least maintain what you have. I think you could actually stimulate a good amount of growth, because those are all very effective exercises. And working hard on just a handful of basics is probably the most effective way to put on, you know, just sheer muscle mass fast. So it's a lot of work. It's the whole body at once. So I don't know if I would necessarily do it 3 times a week, or if I would, I don't know, maybe do it something like a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Saturday. You know, I might give myself an extra day of rest in there at some point. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday could work too. What is your favorite piece of gym equipment and why? There's a lot of machines that I like, so I really can't choose one. So if I had to choose one piece of equipment, I would probably say a cable station. I know a lot of you just went, "Oh, you pussy, cable station." But the reason why is because it's so versatile. You can do so many things with pulleys that adjust up and down, or seated cable row. You can do a lot of different things. You could work almost the entire body that way. If you're creative and you know physiology and all that, you could get a pretty damn good workout. But, you know, I wouldn't do just cables. I would never do that. I would do it. I use cables and machines as a complement to free weights. You know, these days being 48 and having some injury issues and limitations, I do probably use at least half machines and cables now, as opposed to my younger years when there was a time when it would be probably about 2/3 or 3/4 free weights. Those days are gone. But yeah, cable station, because you could do, you know, lat pull downs, cable curls, cable rows, cable crossover. There's a lot of different things you can do with cables. And I can't pick just one piece of equipment. There's so many machines that I really like and get a good feel from that I really can't pick just one. Last question from Glenn Hill. What are your predictions bodybuilding wise for 2018? So these are going to sound pretty lazy, but I think it's very likely Dexter is going to win his 6th Arnold Classic title. Assuming he makes top 5 at the Olympia, which I believe he will. I think he'll retire on stage. He's had a hell of a run. But maybe not. Maybe he'll decide to keep going. Who knows? I believe Heath will win 8 again, and Rami will be 2nd again. I don't think it matters how much Rami improves. I just don't think they're gonna give it to him. Just like Kai, it didn't matter how good Kai looked. They were never gonna give it to Kai. I mean, for whatever reasons, the judges just preferred Heath's physique. Clearly, they preferred his physique over everybody else's for 7 years in a row. I don't see that changing. Yeah, I know it's boring. It's boring when the same guy wins over and over and over again. But you know what? Phil's the best we have right now. So, you know, bubble gut and all. Anyway, Classic will continue to grow in popularity and participation at the amateur level and the professional level. We've seen already so many guys coming down from open bodybuilding to Classic, and guys coming up from men's physique to go into Classic. It's just a really cool division that I think a lot of people want to be a part of, and they like the whole idea that the ideals are based on symmetry, proportion, aesthetics, all that good stuff. And there are weight limits for your height, which, you know, it keeps things sane. There's no pressure on any of these guys to just blow up and put on as much size as possible. And that leads me to my other prediction, which I don't want to make this prediction, but I'm fairly certain we'll see another high-profile person pass away in 2018. Hopefully it won't be someone as young as Dallas was. You know, obviously we're always going to have people in their 60s and 70s passing away. That's normal. But I have a feeling we'll see someone, a big name, significantly younger than that go, just because so many different substances being used now, and there's so many guys risking their health, not really taking care of themselves, and, you know, putting all that stuff off because this is it. They want to be the best they can be now, and, you know, they're not doing all the preventative medicine and checkups and blood work and, you know, scans and all those things to make sure everything's tip-top. So, you know, I hate to say it, but I think we're going to lose somebody else. Next few questions. Actually, this is just one question. What am I saying? Go hard or go home. Asked me in a private message. I've been doing 6 meals a day for years, either cutting or bulking with good results. Now I'm over 40, endomorph, and I'm thinking IFing, so intermittent fasting. 16-hour fasting, 8-hour eating. Now, if I do only 4 meals a day during the 8 hours, but I increase a bit the macros, pretty much consume same macros as I was eating in the 6 meals, what's the pros and cons? Okay. The only pro I can think of is that you're going to save a lot of time. Every day I get irritated at how much time it takes to eat all the meals as a bodybuilder, and especially where I'm not competing, and why do I bother? I don't know. I can't stop. It's my lifestyle. That's just the way I eat. I eat every 2 to 3 hours. So by going all those hours without eating, you're certainly saving a lot of time. You're going to be more productive, for sure. You'll get a lot more done in general because you're not sitting around cooking, eating, cleaning up after yourself, washing dishes, pans, pots, all that stuff. So yeah, you'll save time. That's the only pro I can think of. Cons, I got a whole list. 16 hours without eating, you're going to be starving. You're going to be hungry a lot of the time. I hate being hungry. When my blood sugar is dropping, when I haven't eaten in a long time, I can't concentrate. I can't focus. I just feel terrible physically. I can't imagine doing that for any extended period of time. If I go more than 4 hours, 5 while I'm awake without eating, I'm just worthless. I'm like, I start to collapse. I know how ridiculous it sounds, but it's true. I also believe you'll be going catabolic. You're going to lose muscle tissue. Especially, I'm assuming you're natural. Maybe you're not. But even if you're on drugs, I think going 16 hours a day without eating, you'd still have a catabolic environment going on inside your body, where your body's going to start scavenging amino acids from your muscle tissue because you're not taking any in, and you're going to start losing muscle mass. That's the exact opposite of what we want as bodybuilders. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Catabolic. So another thing is 8 hours. You're saying you're going to get 4 meals in 8 hours. Okay, so you're assuming if you were eating every 2 hours, that's assuming it takes 0 time to eat, which is ridiculous. It's obviously going to take you, I don't know, an average of 10 to 20 minutes to get a meal down. I mean, that's what it takes me, typically 10 to 20, more like 20 a lot of times. Depends on what you're eating, I suppose. So you're not going to be able to get 4 meals in an 8-hour period, but let's say you can. They would have to be super clean meals to digest that quickly to allow you to be hungry, have any kind of appetite for another meal. So you'd have to have baked chicken breast or white fish. You couldn't have really any fat because fat is going to take longer to digest. You'd have to have very, very lean proteins like egg whites and very, very clean burning, fast burning carbs like white rice, white potato, I guess sweet potato, cream of rice, oatmeal. So that would be, I don't see how you're going to be able to get the same amount of calories and macros and all that in those 4 theoretical meals. I wouldn't do it, You want to try it, see how it goes. Of course, give it a try. I mean, you got nothing to lose, I suppose, right? If you start losing muscle and you hate being hungry all the time, just go back to eating the way you've been eating. But maybe you'll like it, I don't know. I've never tried it, so I can't really comment with any degree of personal experience or authority on intermittent fasting because I've never tried it. It goes against everything I believe in with nutrition. And I don't have a nutrition degree. I'm not a dietitian, so obviously you're going to take anything I say with a degree of salt, with a little salt, but it's anecdotal evidence, it's bro science, but whatever, I know how I feel, I know how I look when I don't eat for a long time. Okay, that's all. Moving on. Bully God. Hey, Bully God. So Bully God has some more questions for me. First one, what made you and your wife move from the West Coast back to the East Coast? Do you miss the West Coast? Any plans of relocating back out that way? I think I answered this recently, but I'll try to answer it briefly again. Why'd we move? So I was out there from 1991 to 98 at a job for that American Sports Network who did the programs on ESPN and ESPN2. So that's why I was out there in the first place. I either left or got fired in 98. It's still a little gray area there, I'm not sure. But from 98 on, I didn't need to be there anymore. I was trying to really make it as a writer. I was getting a lot of work with Muscle Mag International and their fitness magazine, American Health and Fitness. Iron Man was giving me a decent amount of work, but it was mainly Bob Kenny, the late Bob Kenny, that helped me out. Gave me a lot of work and allowed me to start making decent money as a writer. To the point where by 2000 I was able to just do that full time. From a brief time like end of 98 into fall of 2000, I was a personal trainer at a gym in Pasadena, California because I needed a little bit of extra money. I mean, But the reason we came back was, I didn't need to be there anymore. I was a writer by then. I didn't have to be anywhere in particular. I could live in Alaska or Florida or Boston. It didn't matter. But we had our daughter in 1994, and then we had our son in 1999. So now we got 2 kids. My wife's got very close with her family, and they're all back here in Boston. I wasn't as close with my family, but so the main thing is we had kids, and they were growing up without their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents. It just didn't seem fair to them, and my wife was really homesick. She missed being away. She was close with her mother, still is, and her sisters. So, yeah, I'd say around early 2000, we decided we were going to go. We were going to get out of California, and sold the house that fall, and we were back here Halloween Day 2000. Never looked back. Plans of relocating back out that way? No, absolutely none. Yeah, I love Boston. This is my home. I grew up in the Boston area. I love the change of seasons. Fall is great here. I like spring, summer, winter. Even winter, it doesn't bother me that much, And that leads me into my next questions. Brad Rowe and Jose Raymond have both said they feel the East Coast bodybuilders train harder than the West Coast bodybuilders. Do you feel this is true? Yes. Why? A couple reasons. So there's that blue-collar attitude that I think you have in a lot of the East Coast. Cities like New York, Boston, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, parts of Connecticut. It's just an attitude of hard work. Not to say that people around the rest of the country don't work hard, but I think it's the weather too makes a big difference. We have really rough winters at times. It's very windy, cold, a lot of snow. There's a lot of times when you might have to spend, as Jose has said, you might have to spend an hour or 2 hours shoveling out your car, chipping ice off its windows before you can even go to the gym. If your gym's open, maybe your gym's not open because they haven't plowed their parking lot. So it's a different mindset. It's a different attitude that you get with that. It toughens you up. I really do believe it toughens you up, gives you character, and you can apply that towards anything. So yeah, I think we apply that toward the training too. We do work out harder. We do train harder. Not to say that there aren't people out west. Obviously there are who train hard. I think the best bodybuilders anywhere you go train hard, obviously. But in general, probably the East Coast guys do train hard. Probably do. Okay, now that Team U has made weight classes for the Masters class, do you see yourself getting the itch to shoot for the pro card in your class now? I do have the itch, but as long as I have this job, I would not even dream of competing. Because, especially now, I'm the only one that goes to all these shows for the most part, except Giles covers a lot of the European shows for us, thank God. But I have to be at all these shows that we cover to do the play-by-play and the interviews and that stuff. These contest weekends, I know Bate somehow managed it with tilapia in his pocket or whatever, but, you're stuck. Just to give you an example, I was stuck in the same place at the Nationals. One day of judging, it was the second day of judging from it was 9 in the morning until past 10 o'clock at night. Didn't have a chance to get up and go anywhere. Luckily I had some, I had a lot of snacks with me and stuff, and I would run up to use the bathroom, but there was no time to eat, and Contest Prep's all about eating your meals on time every day so that you can keep your muscle and lose all the fat. If you have weekends, one weekend like that in your prep might not mess you up where you're missing a lot of meals, but if you have a 16-week prep and 6 or 7 or 8 of those weekends in that prep you're traveling and you're at these shows doing play-by-play, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because I have to be, I don't have great genetics. I have to be at my very, very, very best to have a prayer against these guys with the better genetics. And, another thing, I'll be very honest, I don't want to spend the money to do what the guys at the top, most of them, are doing right now. Very, very expensive, extremely expensive. So, yeah, I'm cheap like that. I don't mind paying a certain amount, but I'm not going to, bankrupt my family so I can do a show. My son's starting college next fall. So I'm saying, I'm going to have him take out a bunch of loans and go into debt for 20 years because Daddy had to do a contest. You know, I'm sorry if that sounds really negative towards any of the, you know, the whole system as it is. It's just the way it is. It's expensive to be a bodybuilder right now. It's very expensive, especially to compete at the highest levels. It's very, very expensive. I could swing it. I choose not to. So maybe, you know, I keep saying 2020 when I can do the over 50, because I turned 50 in September of 2019. That's a tentative, very tentative plan. We'll see what happens. You know, maybe I am done. Maybe 2013 was my last hurrah. And if it was, you know, I can't really complain. I had a hell of a run. That was 24 years, over 24 years of competing. Didn't get a pro card, but oh well. Some awesome bodybuilders from the past never got pro cards. Guys who I wouldn't even dream of comparing myself to. Guys from the 80s and even 90s that were amazing bodybuilders were never able to get their pro cards. Just because there might be some masters guys now that I've seen maybe in classic or bodybuilding that I think, oh, I could beat that guy if I was at my best. What does it really matter? You know. But I'm still leaving that option open. Just don't have any real plans right now. Okay, so I know you have kids, son and a daughter, correct? Yes, that's correct. Their son is 18, daughter is going to be 24 in April. Growing up and being that you're a bodybuilder, did you let them eat whatever and be a kid, or did you kind of restrict them on junk food? Did not restrict them at all. They ate plenty of junk. I tried to get them to eat better, to no avail. You know, my son, up until a few years ago, I think he subsisted almost entirely on cereal and chicken nuggets, dinosaur chicken nuggets to be exact. My daughter's always been a carboholic, so yeah, neither one of them have ever eaten they eat a lot healthier now than they used to. Although my daughter still doesn't eat much protein, a lot of carbs. She loves cheese, she loves bread, she loves pasta. My son is eating a little more now because he's trying to put some size on, but he's not committed the way I was at that age. I didn't know about nutrition at that age and how important it was. I had no idea. He does, because I'm here to tell him. But to get him to sit down and eat every 2 to 3 hours, no, he won't do it. I mean, he's eating maybe better than the average 18-year-old, but not a whole lot. What else was there about that? Did you try to teach them good? Did your kids ever have any plans or goals on being in the fitness industry as competitors? Do you encourage it or try to keep them away from getting heavily involved in the competitor side? My daughter actually competed once in her senior year of high school. She was 17 years old, so it was in the first few months of senior year. She did the NPC New England show here in Boston in the bikini, and there was no teen or anything like that, so she was up there with the women's A bikini class. Placed somewhere in the middle of the pack. I mean, you know, she only dieted 6 weeks, and it wasn't much of a diet. I trained her for it. She's not that much into training. I mean, she's someone that goes to the gym every once in a while when she feels like it. She was more dedicated for those 6 weeks, but yeah, she's not interested in ever doing it again. It was just a one-time thing. She wanted to see what it was like. My son Christian, no real aspirations, and you know what? That's good. I'm glad. It's a rough life. Competing is a lot of work, as any of you who do it know. It's the eating, it's the training, but it's mainly the eating. You have to eat all the damn time. You become a prisoner to eating. And do I want that for him? No. You know, it's you become neurotic about it, where you can't go anywhere without, where's my food getting? Where am I going to eat? Got to bring my food with me. What are they going to have for food at this place I'm going? I got to pack my food. Oh shit, I missed a meal. You know, I don't want that for him. I really don't. I'd like him to get, you know, a little bigger like he wants to, but no, I wouldn't want him making his whole life where he's obsessed with it. Just because I made a career out of it doesn't mean that I want him to. He really has no interest in any career avenues vaguely related to any of this stuff, and that's fine. I would never push this on him or anybody. And, you know, if you're interested in it, that's great. If you love it, if you have a passion for it, good. Otherwise, no. Why would you push someone into something they're not really into? They're going to end up hating it eventually. And I think that's true for any job. You know, if you don't have a passion for it, if you don't enjoy what you do, you're going to be hating that job and not really enjoying your life, not loving your life. And that's no way to live. I'd rather him do something he's got an interest and a passion for, whatever that may be. He's still kind of trying to figure that out. And the last question for today, also from Bully God, is going to wrap things up. What is your typical go-to cheat meal? And when do you eat this? After legs? Back? I don't schedule cheat meals. Especially, you know, I'm not dieting or anything, so why do I need a cheat meal? I used to go to a gym in Revere that Jose used to go to a lot. He still goes there at times, called Greater Boston Fitness. Great gym. It's not far from Logan Airport in Boston, so if you're ever in Boston, in that area, that's where you want to check it out. But they had a Chinese buffet around the corner. Me and Goon would go there a lot. We would do legs or back or whatever, and it really didn't matter what body part we were doing. We'd go there and just stuff our faces, eat as much as we could. Especially they had sushi, all you can eat sushi. It wasn't bad. I'm sure it wasn't the greatest quality sushi, but we never got sick or anything. So that would be a cheat meal, I guess. If I do have a cheat meal, I tend to do it more the way Hani Rambod has people do it, which is the night before training rather than after a workout. So your body can at least utilize all those extra nutrients and calories and everything. So one very common one I will do is a California pizza kitchen. I think it's called Thai chicken would be my favorite. And sometimes I'll even have to add a little chicken on top of it because the whole chicken, I think you get about 45 grams of protein. The whole pizza. Because there's not a lot of chicken on there, as you guys probably know if you've seen these things. Yeah, that would be it. I mean, I don't schedule a lot of cheat meals. Even when I'm dieting, I don't schedule cheat meals. I'll eat more at times if I feel I really need it. You know, I've never had a coach. I always did my own diets. So I would do a little more calories, a little more carbs or something. If my weight was dropping, my strength was dropping, I was feeling and looking like I needed it. Otherwise, I would just stay the course, keep eating. And I certainly wouldn't be eating. I didn't ever do things like burgers and fries or pizza. You know, why? What's the point? Why are you doing that to yourself? Because once you get that taste for it, you're gonna be craving it again. At least that was my experience. Cheat meals just never worked out very well for me. Refeeding, as I guess is the more proper term for bumping up your calories and your carbs, occasionally, that's something more along the lines of what I would do. I hope we answered your questions well. And appreciate you guys sending the questions in, posting them up. Keep them coming. This will be up before Christmas, so for those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends out there. And everybody else, enjoy the holidays, because, you know, it's a holiday season no matter who you are, what your religious beliefs are. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.